Hello again from my front porch, where it is a blustery day in Iowa, or as Pooh would say, Piglet, it's a rather blustery day. It's a horrible Pooh interpretation. I do Kermit the Frog much better. Oh wow, I guess I'm not perfect. Oh, speaking of which, that's actually what I want to talk about today. Have you heard the phrase, "You are perfect just the way you are"? I mean, I've heard the phrase. I've had it used on me, and I'm sure I have used it on other people too. And I am here to tell you that is not true. You are not perfect just the way you are. I am not perfect just the way I am. None of us are perfect just the way we are. That's why we are constantly striving to improve ourselves, because there is always room to grow. There is always room to improve. Now, I could go into a religious lesson with this. I could tap into my own Christian faith and say, well, there is none perfect. No, not one, as it says in the Bible, that only Jesus himself was perfect, and that we all strive to be more Christ-like, and that's how we move closer to perfection. But even in that scenario, none of us are perfect. So even if you put it in the religious context, the statement still works. I use the phrase in my book, Learning While Working, that a cliche that gets used a lot is practice makes perfect. And I correct that. I say, no, actually, perfect practice makes perfect. Bad practice makes bad habits, and those are really tough to undo. We get into our head this use of this term perfect, and what does perfect mean? Well, the other way that I see it used a lot, and I know this is maybe a little sensitive because it veers into some social topics and hot button areas, but where people say, God made you perfect. God made you just the way you are. Okay, there's two statements being made there. One I agree with. The other one is highly questionable. Did God make us perfect? Well, I mean, first of all, you have to believe in God, which I do. And do I believe God made each of us perfect? Sure. At the time of birth. But you see, then stuff happens to us. Life happens to us. The way we're raised as parents, the experiences we have at school, the friends we associate with. We drift into the nature versus nurture. Are you who you are because it's hardwired into your DNA and you have no choice whatsoever? This is who you always were going to be. Or are you who you are because of the life you've lived and the experiences you've had and the circumstances that you've encountered, that they molded you into who you are? And there are people who argue on both sides, nature versus no, you are who you are because you were just always going to be that way. And then there are others who say, no, you're who you are because you were guided into being that way. Myself, I'm in the middle. Yeah, I find myself in the middle on a lot of stuff. But I'm in the middle. I do believe that there are some aspects of us that are just genetic. I think of myself. At least I would like to think that my love and appreciation of music and my joy for singing, that a lot of that comes from, well, both of my parents. My mom was much more expressive, still is, very beautiful soprano voice. It's kind of, she's 80 now, and so it's not the same voice it always was. Her ear doesn't quite hear the tone as well anymore, but she still sings passionately and loves the singing, and I believe that that I have that. I think all of us kids have that. My dad, though, even though he's much more shy about singing, when there have been times where he had the opportunity to overcome his shyness and to step out and actually sing, he loved it. He loved. He and my mom would go and sing duets, and they sounded beautiful. We did a family singing thing one time, and he really loved that, thrived on that. And so I know that both of them love music, and so and singing and expressing themselves that way. And so I believe that some of that was hardwired into me. But I also believe that you can have that hardwired into you, but it has to be nurtured as well. My mom took us to church. If the church doors were open, we were there. and music, singing was always a part of that. And she encouraged all of us to be involved in that way. But even beyond my mom, we had a pastor's wife when I was a kid named Opal Reese, who she saw potential in me and encouraged me to not just do kids things and stuff, but to actually step out and do solo songs. She had a set of cassette tapes, and we'd call them karaoke tracks now, but accompaniment tapes of different songs, and some were more child or youthful oriented, and that's where she kind of started me on. But she is the one who got me into singing more mature songs, more grown-up songs, story songs. Things like there's a lighthouse on the hillside that overlooks life's sea. You know, the song like. Now I learned that I was singing that as a kid in junior high school, really not even fully grasping the impact of the lyrics of that song, but I gravitated to the ability to be able to tell stories with the song. It was under her tutelage that I discovered the song "He's Alive" by Don Francisco, which now is like a standard staple of what I would do when I would sing at church. So, I mean, it's like almost my signature song for when I would sing at churches and do services and things. Now, did my mom have a lot to do with it? Did the genetics from my parents play it? Yeah, absolutely they did. Did my mom's encouragement of me also contribute? Yes. And did Opal's encouragement of me and did that further take that? Absolutely. I believe both were relevant, because I don't believe that no matter how much somebody nurtures you in a certain way, if it's not part of who you are, you don't go against the grain. You have to be true to yourself. It has to resonate somewhere inside. If not, you'll find yourself doing things that you are miserable with, that you don't enjoy. Do you become depressed? Do you become downtrodden? You have no energy in what you're doing, no interest in what you're doing, because it's not really who you are. It's just what somebody else wanted you to be. Nature versus nurture. Let's get back to perfection, though. In what of those scenarios can you claim perfection? I don't think you can. Now, I saw a video today that I thought was really good. The video, and it's been out there, I guess, for a while, but the video was shared on a Instagram from, I think, Upworthy was the page that shared it, but supposedly it's posted by a mom named Hannah Cook, and it's just a little short video that shows her and her husband doing what they call the cookie test with their son, their toddler age son. And I just want to insert that video here because I want you to see something. Okay? So here's little baby Cook or little toddler Cook doing the cookie challenge with his parents. Watch.
1,
2,
1, 2,
3.
3. I didn't get any. Oh. Thank you so much. That was so nice. That was so sweet.
Aw.
Good sharing.
Now, isn't that just adorable? I mean, honestly, I've actually watched it several times, and it's just like whenever when the kid realizes he has two, because first he's distraught, he's emotionally distraught that mom didn't get this the cookie. Then just like that, he realizes, wait, I have two here, and immediately, no thought, no question, no check, grabs one and shoves it over to mom because mom needs one too. And And mom and dad are just overwhelmed. I mean, they're chuckling. I don't think they're laughing because they think it's funny per se, ha ha. I think that they are just really, really, overcome with the emotion of just how sweet and adorable and quick he is in coming up with this. But give that kid a few more years, and I don't think that kid would have that same reaction. I might be wrong. I don't want to judge. I don't know. But my point is, when we are born, when we are little, when we're first starting out in life, I believe that is the closest that we are to perfection. We are untainted. We are tainted is the best word I can come up with. But then life begins to take over. Then we begin to have influence from those around us. Good meaning, well-intentioned, doesn't matter. Point is, they take us in directions that are not necessarily always the best. And we gradually become the person that we are going to be when we are an adult, for better or for worse. When my kids were growing up, I would frequently, when they would do something that they shouldn't have done, and I would do the whole dad lecture with them, the dad conversation with them, the challenge that I would issue to them is, you need to think not about who do you want to be today, but what kind of person do you want to be tomorrow? What kind of person do you want to be in the future? Because that person is who you need to start being today. Now, I'd like to think that made a difference. I don't know. Both of my kids, I love them, and they've turned out pretty good. So I'd like to think, well, maybe it did help in some way. I don't know. But the point being, we should never, ever see ourselves as perfect. I'm sorry if this seems counterintuitive or if this seems like it's psychologically attacking, but you are not perfect. Do not think of yourself as perfect. Think of yourself as a work in progress, striving for perfection. You might be pretty good right now, but if you ever get to a point where you think, I am perfect, then what you're saying is, I have nothing new to learn. I have nowhere to grow. I have nowhere to improve. I have reached the pinnacle of my existence. Also in my book, Dan Houston, who was at the time the CEO of Principal Financial Group, I spoke with him, and he has some quotes in there. One of the observations that he makes is that when a leader gets to a point where they stop taking time to learn, when they think they have arrived and there's nothing else for them to learn, that's when their career starts to die. And it's true, but it's not just professional career. That's our lives. When we get to a point where we think, I have nothing to improve, that's when we start to die. We have increased, so we get to this point, and then we think we're just going to plateau and stay there. But when you plateau and you stop striving for more, you go downhill. Now, let's go back to the nature-nurture thing. What if what you're doing right now isn't even the stuff that you like to do? What if you're not the person that you want to be? That you, deep down, you know that who you are is who life has shaped you to be, and you don't like who that person is. You don't like the way that person thinks. You don't like the way that person operates. You know what? You can change it. You are not perfect. And in that scenario, you have identified that you're not even happy with what you're doing. So change it. Make the decision to strive for perfection. You're not happy being this person. Stop being that person. Become the person you want to be. Strive for perfection, who you really are. Tap back into that nature. Who were you born to be? What were you born to embrace? Deep down, you still know what that is. Grab onto it, my friends. Again, no one is perfect. Nobody. So don't consider yourself perfect, and certainly don't judge or evaluate anybody else for not being perfect. None of us are perfect. But we all can link arms and unite in our effort to improve and pursue perfection, whatever that means for you. All right, there you go. That's my little thought for the day. And I even got in a little, book promo too. Score! Okay, well, anyway, I'm going to let you go, and I'll see y'all next time from my front porch.